Hello, welcome to the stream. Hi, Fly Me to the Moon. Today we are going to be using the Hydrus Set 3 by DrPH Martins, and we're going to paint a Hydra, of course. What else would you paint with Hydrus, right? That is the Inktober prompt for October 27th, so for tomorrow. So you're going to see me actually create that tomorrow. I'll post it over on you'll see me create that today. I'll post it over on Instagram tomorrow. And yeah, I'm running just a tiny bit behind today, but I didn't want to keep you guys waiting, so I figured I'd start. I was just trying to write down the colors from set 3 and their pigments. We'll just do it as we go. A couple little announcements for you guys, just kind of a heads up, especially because we are entering, I don't even want to say, I just like whisper, like we're entering the holiday shopping season. I can't believe it's already happening. But I want to let you know that Amazon has been having some phenomenal deals, and some, if you have not tried the Gansai Tambi paints yet by Kuretake. Now, I was gifted both of these sets, but the cost of them right now, I couldn't resist. There is the 48 set, and I'm going to be bringing you some more of using these paints on the channel here really soon. So I definitely do recommend them, and the pans are so much larger. If you've never seen one of their pans before, whoa, I tried not to drop everything. They're like much larger pans. For comparison, I happen to have a couple on my desk here that aren't full. You get about definitely like what you would get in a full pan. They're a little shallower, but they're much bigger. So you can see easily, like, there's a couple, you could stack a couple, and if you add all that volume up, you're definitely getting more than a full pan in these pans. You see that in comparison to like your traditional half pan. So I think they're definitely worth it, and you can pick up. You gotta watch the sales. You gotta watch them as they pop up and they disappear. Like, I'm watching them all the time. So I have tried them. Yes, Fly Me to the Moon asked, have I tried them? I have. I really like these paints. And that's why I said I'm going to be doing some more work with these on the channel. But you can pick up the 48 set for it would be almost $1 a pan. $1 a color. Like, that's excellent. Because they are, they're Japanese paint. They're very, I like them a lot. All right, sorry, let me just get these out of the way. And then the other thing I wanted to share with you guys, and this is what I'm working in today. So I have been doing all of my Inktober. If you follow me over on Instagram, and that is the only place where my handle is different. Everywhere else, it's just at Clark Fine Art. But on Instagram, it is at Clark_Fine Art. So I've been posting everything over there, and on my, of course, Instagram will cross post for me to my Clark Fine Art Facebook page. I've been doing some like bulk updates on MeWe, so you guys kind of get, if you're following me on MeWe, you get like a few posts, but there's like a bunch of days kind of linked in. But I have been doing everything for Inktober in one of these Strathmore visual journals. Now the one I'm using is larger. It is 9 by 12. But I'm really pleasantly pleased with the results I've been getting using this journal. I mean, it's not cotton paper, but it's really holding up well to what I've been throwing at it. And yes, I'm using, ink mediums, stuff like that. But I've used some of the Hydras, and that's they're like watercolor inks, right? They look like this. And so these guys have been going on sale and dropping less than $5 for a sketchbook. And there is 44 pages, 22 sheets in each of these. And this size is the one that keeps going on sale. So watch it. And it's been popping up in different areas. And I think that kind of is probably based on like the different warehouses around the country or in your location. But keep an eye on these, because this is like, I've seen it go and come back. I got a couple for some Christmas gifts because I picked up 2 of them and I spent $8 and some change. You know, I mean, we're not supposed to say like what we spend on Amazon, but let me just say it was less than $10 for 2. So yeah, that is what I'm working in today. Links for everything are in the description below. I used my Secura Pigma Micron to do the line work for today. And if you haven't seen, that is available. It's over on my Patreon. You can get it for free. You do not have to be a member to download that. I pinned the link in the chat. It's also in the description below. So if you're watching this on replay and you like the line art and you want to kind of, you know, colorize this and have fun with it in your own way, absolutely. I only ask that you guys give credit for the original design and tag me if you share it on social media. And I encourage you to do so because I really want to see, your work. And you can follow me. And now Patreon has opened up where we can kind of have like community posts like we can here on YouTube. Only you guys can post and chat back with me. You can post stuff. So if you're not already following me, even if you're not a member, you can follow me on Patreon. And any of the things that I put there that are free to the public, you'll see them. You'll also see like how often I post, and I try to post often. And yeah, you'll be able to get those kind of things free. You can kind of follow your favorite artist even before you become a patron. Maybe you're not sure. So I encourage you, if you don't follow me there yet, follow me over on Patreon, and you can get this line art. You can complete it, post it back over there on Patreon for me to see it. I definitely will see it. If you post something there, that's one of the alerts that has priority that gets me. That and all of the members, super fans and members here on YouTube. I say super fan. A super fan is a member of the channel here on YouTube. That is the lowest tier that gives you all the emotes. And speaking of emotes, you guys have new emotes for this week, so check them out if you're a super fan. And if you're not, you can become one for less than a cup of coffee. For less than a small cup of coffee, you can become a super fan today, and you're going to have access to all the new emotes that I just posted. I just uploaded those this morning because I promised you new ones this week. And yeah, I hope you guys have fun with those while we are chatting. And if you didn't know, you can use your emotes not only during the live chats, but you can use them in commenting on videos here on the channel. You can use them there as well. So, and then you also get the badge next to your name. And yeah. Whew, that was a lot. Sorry guys, I feel like I was talking 100 miles an hour there. But I wanted to get all that information out so we can dive right in, because this is a big project. Normally I'm working on like 6x9 when we're live. This is 9x12. This is twice the size. I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm doing, but hey, I wanted it to take up a full page in my Inktober book, or in my Inktober spreads. I wanted a nice big full page for this one. And yeah, I haven't even done today's prompt yet, which is remove. And I think I've got like a stack of them. Whoa, I've got like a stack of erasers here. I think one of those is going to get drawn out. And I mentioned that to Joseph when he's like, I'm not sure what to do for remove. And I'm like, that was the first thing that popped in my head, like eraser. How do you remove things? You use an eraser. So yeah. Oh, there we go. We have the, oh, look at that. So the ghost is, if you're on dark mode, you're probably just seeing the hat and some little eyes, because like my computer has it on dark mode. And but if you're on light mode, there's the new ghost with the little heart. Dylan just shared that one. Oh my goodness. Oh, so my nose just started itching. Sorry guys. Okay. So I'm going to hi Tara, hi Dylan, just catching people as they come in. So I'm going to go down to the desk and let's get these colors. I'm going to put them on a plate and let's get started, because we've got a lot of work to do and only a moment in time to do it. So I almost hit finish, which would have ended my stream, and that's not what I want to do. It's been crazy. Hi, Teresa. Okay, let me just say this. So the DrPH Martin's Hydrus, let me move some stuff out of my way here so I can kind of slide this up. Oh, I still have these linked in the description below, these erasers. These are fantastic. I have been sketching all month, which I don't usually do. Not every day. And they come like this. You get 2 in a package with the 3 refills for each one. So 6 refills. Each one has one in it. These erasers are amazing. They can slide, and then you set it and it locks in. They're not too hard. They don't damage my paper. They pick up the graphite very easily. I'm loving these. Definitely recommend. So, it's like having the Tombow Mono on steroids, right? So there you go. Definitely recommend these. Okay. DrPH Martin's Hydrus. Do these count for Inktober? They're watercolor. They're in ink bottles. So I say yes. That's what I'm using. I've used them before. I love it. Oh, Dylan, I think there was an issue with that. Let me just pop that up there because that's like great to share. So she says, I have the Hydrus and the dropper doesn't work in any. I've had them since last year. One of 2 things. One, you can, and this might make a mess, might be messy. Let me just show you here. You can take, if they don't work, we'll see. Hopefully mine will. I haven't dropped these out yet, and if they don't, it's exactly what I will be doing. So you can take these, and they may not be pushed in quite, they may have come loose. So if they're not seated correctly with the plunger, they may not draw up. And the other thing is reach out to DrPH Martin's and let them know that you have a set of Hydrus and the droppers aren't working. I heard that before, that somebody else, another YouTuber, had got a set and they weren't working. Reached out to DrPH Martin's and they sent all new droppers. They're very good. I would like to think that quality hasn't changed. So I encourage you to, even though it's been a while, reach out to them. Because there's no need for you to have to get a pipette every time you want to get some of this out. And, oh my gosh, remember the pipettes from last year? I think, didn't we send some to Joseph as a joke? I don't remember, but I know we were talking about pipettes last year. So anyhow, the droppers do clog. Yes, Teresa, that's the other thing. Thank you. So the droppers clog. You can take, remember last week when I pulled this out of my Daniel Smith palette and took this piece off? You see this little tiny, it's very skinny, right? A toothpick, it's fine. And what you would do, okay, I'm not going to move this because underneath here is my drawing and I don't want to mess it up. But I did have one that did that before because the pigment particles just got clogged in the dropper. You would just take that, if I can see, and just put a toothpick in the end of the dropper and they should, that is another way, then they should start working. So absolutely, if your droppers aren't working, it's probably one of those things. She says, I have 3 sets actually, right? I have the same problem. I'll try to hack. That's awesome. And yes, the pipettes. You remember the pipettes? If you've been with us for a while, I'm sure you all remember the pipettes. And like massive, everybody that talked about it was like, yes, I bought some on Amazon and I didn't realize it came with like 1,000 pipettes. So everybody has this like abundance of them. Joseph had none. So we all talked about sending Joseph, like having pipettes just start appearing in his mail all the time. And somebody sent him them. Dylan, was that you that sent them? Because I think it was like the art fairy sent them or something like that. But anyways, so I haven't seen Joseph yet today. So if he comes in, shh, don't tell. Okay. So anyhow, yes, if you're having any of those issues with any of your Hydras or any other of the DrPH Martin's line, And I dropped, one second, see if I can get it. So with any of the DrPH Martins, even if you have like the little bottles, if any of them for whatever reason are working, try that, because chances are the just from them sitting, the pigment particles are just stuck in there. And then once you clear it, it should just, the plunger starter should start working. And if they don't, then I definitely encourage you to reach out to DrPH Martin. Go on their website. There should be a contact us on there, and reach out and let them know what's going on. So yeah. Okay. Teresa says, I have a lifetime supply of pipettes. I think a lot of us do, right? I think I have like there's 3 just sitting like right here. And then I have some up here on the desk too. Because, you know, you never know when you're going to need a pipette. Oh my goodness. Okay. As I said, the Hydrus line, and the reason that I went for the Hydrus line, I was eating almonds before the stream, guys. And so I apologize. I inhaled like one of the skins off one, and like, and made me start coughing, and you thought you were ordering 10. Yeah, 10 times 100. So anyways, it sent me choking, and I've been trying to recover ever since. It's always something when we're about to go live. It's always something. You just have to roll with it. Okay. They have multiple sets. I chose Hydrus because they're light fast. Today, like, I brought you set 1. I showed you all 3. I have all 3 sets. And their complete range is 36 colors. So you got set 1, set 2, set 3. No duplicates in any, which I love. Because you can start wherever you want, right? You're not going to have to worry about duplicating colors. That was like, kudos to DrPH Martin for that, because I cannot stand when you're like, oh, I'm going to get a set. Like when I get when my Kuretake 48 colors come in, I'm going to have 12 repeats, because I think the 12 set I have is within that 48. It's whatever. Excuse me. It's whatever. You know, it's fine. So, these are completely light fast. And the thing I love the most about set number 3, 9 out of, and I'm going to swatch them here. And this is just I didn't link this below because I grabbed it at the last moment just to swatch. It happened to be sitting by my desk. Strathmore watercolor paper 300 series. It's good for swatching. I can't say. I haven't really worked on it to say, oh, okay, I would or wouldn't use it. But normally I would go for like the Strathmore 400, or the professional would be like the Strathmore 500. But anyways, we're just swatching. So, yeah, that's hilarious. My husband was like, what are you doing in that art room? Exactly. All right. So you see in D-Lin on the screen here, when I share it, it shows a little yellow like sun. That's actually her badge. And when you're in the YouTube chat, it's actually a little palette with a paintbrush, and that is the badge you get for being super fans. Unfortunately, my software doesn't convert that and carry that over. I wish they would fix that so it would, but 9 out of 12 of these colors are single pigment colors. They're all light fast. That means I'm going to be able to mix with this set really well. So that is one of the things I love about set 3. It has the highest amount of single pigment colors. So we have the vermilion, and I'm just going to be putting out some drops on, I have a plate here. I'm just going to put the 12 colors on it. Remember, I did set 1, and I've got it right here because I've used it during Inktober. I did it in my butcher's tray. And this, I just put a sticker, Hydra set 1. This was just 5 drops of each color. I'm not putting that much out today. A little goes a long way. I've used these like probably a dozen times. Now, granted, I'm not making, you know, 2-foot by 4-foot watercolor paintings, but use them quite a few times, and they definitely, they re-wet beautifully on that palette. I certainly do recommend these. And if you've never tried liquid watercolor before, it is a whole different game. It can be very easy to go too strong with your pigment, but I have linked below. These I have as the large bottle. These are a 1 ounce bottle. This size is a 1/2 ounce, and this is not the Hydrus line, but this is the size of the bottle. This is DrPH Martin's. The bottles look exactly like this. They would just have Hydrus in them. And then this is actually a liquid acrylic one, but same size bottles. This is the 1/2 ounce size. So you can go with the 1 ounce size or the 1/2 ounce size. Let me just say, this is definitely the better value, because while this will cost you less, this, which is double in size, does not cost you double the money. So I recommend the 1 ounce size. You will have them. They will last you a long time. You can buy them individually. I do have a link to Blick in the description below. If you're like me and you only order from Blick when you can get free shipping, that's a great time to go after these, because if there's some other, you know, few other small items you wanted to grab from Blick, if you're interested in getting these, you're definitely going to get free shipping. So yeah, definitely recommend. Okay, we're going to put these on the plate kind of, and I will just swatch them really quickly here just so I can show you the chart. This was the chart from set 1, and then I'll be able to hold them side by side for you guys so that you can see and compare like what was in set colors that were in set 1 versus set 2. Okay. Ask, do you get any granulation with these? Well, let me just show you, because that is a very good question, and that was Fly Me to the Moon. So can you see there? There's the ultramarine. Ultramarine's usually a granulating color. It's not too much. And then here's cobalt violet, which, and ultramarine, let me just say this, which I won't harp on it long here. It's not granulating because it's not PB29. PB29? Yeah, some reason that just went, that's not the right number. Anyways, it's not the normal ultramarine. It is PB15 and PV19. PV19, cobalt violet, has PV19 and PB15. They're just different amounts of the same two pigments in these. And PB15 is phthalo blue. I don't prefer an ultramarine made from phthalo blue. I prefer an ultramarine made from ultramarine. But just kind of leave that be. These tend to be cleaner. They don't tend to granulate so much. So I hope that answers your question. If you don't like granulating colors, this might definitely be something that you would enjoy. If you like nice, clean, transparent layers, these would be beautiful. All right, so we have the Hansa Yellow Medium, Chrome Yellow, Vermilion Hue. I'm just going to write these down real quick here. We have PR170, which is Carmine. Then I have PR2. I should have my glasses on. I'm trying not to, because then I will definitely need them later. Once I put them on, my eyes are like, oh, I don't have to do any work anymore. And then they won't. Crimson Lake. We have PV19. Remember, we had that color before. I just showed you in set 1. And that is, I'm just going to write Quin. It is quinacridone violet. And then we have, I'm going to write them down here. Yeah, I'm going to write them down here, but I'll put the swatch up here. And then we have PR 101, which is red oxide. And we have PBR 7, PBR 7, and those are going to be both raw. Trying to make sure I'm keeping these in the right order. Raw sienna, raw umber, and then we have our 3 that are a mix. Hi, Simone Mac. Okay. All right. And so our 3 that are a mixture, we have PB15, which we know as phthalo blue, and PG7, which is like phthalo green, and that one is turquoise blue. And then we have, again, now they're just switching it up, just like in that first set, you have PG7 and PB15, and that one's going to be blue aqua. And finally, we have, I wrote that other one, PV19 again. And now it says on this printout, which is from DrPH Martin's, it says blue 16. That's a typo. It's PB15. And that is ultramarine. Again, not ultramarine, but red violet. Right? That should be phthalo violet. It's phthalo blue, but they want to call it ultramarine red violet. So it's their paints, and call them what they want. All right. I'm just going to move that aside. Let's put these colors on the palette and colors on the paper so you can see them. And we're going to get right to painting because we've got some painting to do. All right. So, as I'm going to try to like put them on there, Hansa Yellow Medium. And I'm only putting, I'm like trying to be very careful here. I'm only going to put a couple drops. That's like 3 drops. If I need more, I will grab more. But I'm only going to put like 3 drops because seriously, a little goes a long way. I need to rotate this around, because I'm going to work them just like this, and we're going to go around the plate. So then this is chrome yellow. Again, just 3 drops. I put 5 on my butcher's tray last time, and it was more than enough. I don't know that I'm going to need all of these colors today, but you'll see. I thought about doing a different thought about doing like each head of the Hydra a different color, and then I was like, no, I really want to go for a certain, feeling, and I don't have the black this time, so that's going to require some mixing. But I thought, it's fine, because I wanted to show you that you can definitely mix your colors. You can do some good mixes with this set. I think if you could just get one set, I would perhaps go for like a set like this. And of course I'm trying to like eat my hair here. The bleed proof white is sitting here in case I need that, which I'm going to use that today. I'm going to use that when I do my water. And the I would grab like this set and probably the carbon black from set 1, and I think you'd have a pretty, I mean, there's just a few extras that you might want, but this is a really good set. And you see, this is just a plate from the dollar store. I love, as you guys know, I love working on ceramic. And this, see, this one might be clogged because that didn't want to pull anything up. So again, we'll just take, and you can use a toothpick. Oh yeah, it's clogged. You can definitely feel it. Just wipe that off. Then see, the dropper works just fine. So I really encourage you, yeah, Dylan, try that. Grab a toothpick or something really, really skinny and pop it in there. It'll probably free up those droppers. And if not, reach out to DrPH Martin. All right, last 3 colors. I'm going to put them on the paper really quickly. I'm not doing any fancy swatching. I literally just want to have them on there to see. These I may end up needing more of because we're going to do the water with some of these colors right here. Although I really had an idea, like I just wanted it to be like cloudy and a moody background. And okay, setting this aside, if I need them, I will grab them. There we go. All right, you ready? We're just gonna put these down really quick on the paper. So you see there is my Hydra that I drew out today. That was fun. Oh my gosh, that was crazy. That took up like the bulk of my morning. I'm sorry, my phone is casting a shadow here. All right, there we go. Let's see if I can make sure I get that over so you guys can kind of see everything on my plate. You're not quite seeing it, but I'll rotate if I'm using certain colors. Okay, so I'm going to cover this up. We're going to put, you see, I put a horizon in. I was thinking water, rough surf, and like really cloudy, grayed out background. And of course, I chose the set that doesn't have the black in it. So we're going to have some fun with that. So, you know, why not? Let's make it more fun. Okay, so let's just look at our colors. We really, like, we do not need much. Our Hansa Yellow Medium. I'm going to end up making a mess of my water before we even start. This is our Chrome Yellow. And you see, like, I barely touch into that, barely have to touch into that to get my color. Chrome Yellow. I'm just going to try to wipe most of it off on my paper towel before I rinse. Try to keep my water clean. I do have 3 waters sitting here, but we have Vermilion. Okay. Like I don't want to tip that plate. See, once these dry on this plate, if I come back, like I'll label the plate like I did my butcher's tray. And once I come back to it, I won't have, you know, they won't move. They'll dry and then I can just re-wet, and they re-wet so wonderfully. I can show you with set one, if this is something that you're considering, and like, well, if I put it out on a plate, if I put out too much, am I going to waste it? No, you are not, because they definitely re-wet so well. Okay. Next is Crimson Lake. I'm hoping I get to finish this today. I will not. It will not be something that I would continue next week because, again, it's tomorrow's prompt. So it will be finished and posted on Instagram tomorrow. So there's Crimson Lake. Temperature is about to really drop for us. It's about to be like, hey, remember me, Mr. Winter? Yeah, I'm back. We're gonna get really low temps after this weekend. Next week is gonna be a bit chilly. Look at that PV19, the quinacridone violet. That's really a nice color. Look at that. That's pretty. Okay. So next we have red oxide. If you're watching this on the replay, I will try to go in once it lets me edit the stream and put chapters in, so that if you don't want to see the colors being swatched, you can just jump right ahead to the artwork. There we go. Look at that. Is the PR101. Next up is PBR7. So the next two are PBR7, but depending on how they treat the PBR7 is going to depend on the color. So this one is raw sienna. And Fly Me to the Moon, were you asking me? Was that a question to me? Am I on Instagram? Because the answer is yes. If you were asking me and not somebody else in chat, I just happened to see, are you on Instagram? But Instagram is the only location where I am not at Clark Fine Art, because Christopher Clark Gallery had already taken that one there, but I have it everywhere else. So on Instagram, yes, I am Clark_Fine Art on Instagram. All right, I've got to tuck this kind of behind the ear because it's just getting in my face. All right, so PBR7 Raw Umber. I'm like, I keep drying my brush, so it's actually taking me longer to do these that way. All right, so there's PBR7. There's a couple more to go. Back to the way we started. So turquoise blue. You see, I'm just kind of pulling it to the outside of my plate, because you guys know me, I'll start mixing in the middle and it's going to take up the whole thing. Ooh, look at that. Beautiful. Look at that color. So there's our turquoise blue. One thing that I think I'm going to do right out the gate is, oops, I meant to wipe that on. My water is now filthy. Oh. Okay. I have 3 of them, but I dirty them so fast rather. So this is just the opposite. The PG7, which is like phthalo green, comes first. So there's more of the green than the blue. I'm not making very neat swatches, but I know there's a lot of work to do in this artwork and I need to get moving. So there is the blue aqua. And then finally we have the ultramarine violet that, you know, like I said, it's their colors. They can call them what they want, but that'd be phthalo red violet to me, because PB15 is not ultramarine blue. In fact, to get ultramarine blue, like I showed you before, they mix it with PV19 to get their ultramarine. I rinsed my brush so I could just pull this out so you guys can see how that gets when it gets lighter. It's beautiful. I mean, it's a lovely color. I just disagree that it's ultramarine because PB15 is phthalo blue. But I digress. I will not keep being wound up. I say that all the time. That is the only thing that I don't care for, because PB29 would have been a single pigment color. They could have used that, but it may be because none of these are really, like PR101 normally would be a granulating color. And let's just do a real quick, just because that was a question that was asked. So that's this one. I'm just going to put a wet spot down here, right? And we're going to grab, I just used I just got rid of that paper towel that was full of paint. Normally I have a rag when I do that. And so I don't have to waste paper towels. Okay. So if we do I want a really wet wash, because when things granulate, usually it's those nice juicy washes that you just kind of leave to dry slowly on their own. If you want granulation, you cannot be hitting it with a hairdryer or a heat tool, because yes, you might get some still if it's a color that's highly granulating on its own, you know, to start with. But when you add heat to your watercolor and you start to dry it, you're freezing it on the paper. Like, you're freezing it where it is. So if you have something that's starting to move, and you don't want it to move any further and you want to kind of lock it down, well, there you go, right? Grab that heat tool and start to dry your paper, because that's going to stop your color from moving. But yeah, if you want it to have nice soft blending and embrace watercolor for what watercolor is, you want to let it dry on its own. So we're going to let that continue to set, because PR101 is usually a color that will granulate. And I originally had thought, well, maybe because PB29 is such a granulating pigment, they couldn't put it in the liquid form. I don't know. I don't know. And maybe that's why they used a mixture of the PB15 and the PV19 to make ultramarine and to really like warm that blue up with the violet. I'm not sure, but here you go. Okay, yes, the answer, I'm glad you asked that question. Yes, it does. It helps me tremendously. So I'll explain all that in a moment. That's a great question, Dylan. So there's your set 1 and your set 3. There's the differences in the colors. So we've looked at both of those. If you missed that video, I will try to remember to, you know, put like a card up here on the replay to go and see that set 1. So Dylan asked a great question, and that was, can someone explain the need to know the pigments? How does it help you? Well, for me personally, like I was just saying, the PB29, which is ultramarine, normally that is ultramarine blue, that is a granulating pigment. So I know it's granulating. If I want a warm blue, but I don't want it to granulate, then I'm not going to pick ultramarine. Maybe I'd go for, grab a cobalt blue or mix up a warmer blue or something like that where it's not that pigment, because that pigment's going to granulate. PR 101, I know that's a granulating pigment. This is probably very finely milled. And so is like the PBR 7s can be also, which is your raw umber, raw sienna, burnt umber. Those are all PBR 7 traditionally. Sometimes you'll see like a PBR 6. But knowing your pigments, you're just going to start to, when you associate, like the way that I started doing it was I just started, every time I was writing one down, it was, this was the pigment, this was the color. So this is the pigment, this is the color. You repeat that cycle so many times as you, well, I do, but I'm addicted to watercolors. So I repeat that cycle when I'm setting up, palettes and things like that. So you start to learn these pigments. You start to learn which ones will granulate, which ones won't, which ones are more transparent, which ones aren't. And it really helps you be able to start mixing and blending and getting more in depth with your watercolor. So I hope that kind of answers that question. Some people are like, I don't pay attention to the pigments. It's just the color. I grab the color. I like the color. I paint with the color. And that's fine. If that's how you are, you do what works for you. For me, I like to geek out on all the information. So, for me, knowing those pigments, it helps me know how I can mix them to get different effects. It helps me to know. One of the really big benefits is, for example, if I grab this ultramarine and I want to mix it with, this is not a single pigment ultramarine. So if I wanted to mix that, it has violet in it. If I want to mix it with a red, as long as that red leans towards blue, I'm going to get a beautiful purple. But this has that purple in it. So if I want to mix this blue with a yellow to get a nice green, it is not going to make, now normally PB15 will make a beautiful green, right? Because it leans more towards yellow. But knowing that this one has violet thrown in, it's leaning more towards red, right? So it's not following its traditional, what you would go for. So when you're trying to mix your colors, that can help, because if you try, as we know, if we mix red and yellow and blue, we're going to get a brown or a black or gray. If you are grabbing a blue that is a multi-pigment blue and you don't pay attention to what those pigments are, whether you're trying to go purple or go green, it may not work out well for you. And somebody may be like, I always try to mix my own colors, and they always come out like dirty or muddy or desaturated. It's because you're not mixing the correct two colors together. There's another pigment in there that's throwing you off. And that's why. So I really hope that helps with why it's good to know your pigments and get familiar with them. You don't have to memorize them all, but it is nice to get familiar with them. It helps with color theory. I find it useful. Okay. And speaking of, I really want like a moody sky. And you'll see here, like, there's no eyes on this one. There's no like sharp details. And excellent. Great. So yeah, I hope that did help. Okay. These don't have a lot of detail because these ones are further in the back. And really, I'm going to take, when I have this sky wet, just before it's to that point where it won't feather out anymore, I'm going to put these guys in because I want to push them back. I want to really push them away so that this Hydra is like looking, and I'm already grabbing my glasses, but so this Hydra is looking like really, I want to get some depth in here. And I'm thinking like clouds, moody, just a moody sky. So I'm going to wet probably right over these because of some of that kind of mingles. I don't mind. This one too is a little further back. So these are definitely the furthest away than this one. Then I'd say this one. These come in after that, you know, and these guys are coming up closer. And our poor little guy here. Does everybody know the, oh, there we go. We got our angry pumpkin. Yeah. That was one of our new ones for this week. The Jack, the jack-o'-lantern that Doolin just shared in the live chat. Okay, and see, if I were to show it, you're just going to see Clark Jack, because it's my channel, and then Jack. But that's like what they would type. What you see on there is what they could type if they didn't want to go to the thing every time. They would be able to just type it out. I don't know why it's putting a space before Clark, but anyhow, shortcuts. Okay. So do you guys know the story of the Hydra? Like, it's, you know, like Greek mythology and that kind of stuff. Again, it's like geeking out on the stuff, right? Sorry, I'm having to move. A screen just popped up and it's moving it out of our way. So Greek legend says that Typhon and Echidna, this is the offspring of them. And it's a 9-headed creature. The number varies, right? The number varies. And when you sever one of the heads, 2 come in its place. And it was actually the destruction of the Hydra became one of the 12 labors of Heracles. So if you're not familiar with the tales, you can go look those up, and there you go. There's some stuff for you to start looking for. The 12 labors of Heracles, and you're probably going to find all kinds of information about the Hydra. But the prompt for tomorrow was beast, and I thought, I was sitting there, I knew I wanted to do something with the Hydras, and I thought, what am I going to do? What kind of beast am I going to do? And I'm like, Hydrus. And I just kept thinking Hydrus, and I'm like, what beast? And then all of a sudden, like, Hydra popped in my head, and there you go. The idea was born. Okay, so I need to mix up a gray for my background. So I'm going to grab, let me just see how this is going to work here. I'm like forgetting my colors. Oh, just to show you guys, that's drying a little bit more. You see, you were asking about the granulation. So yeah, red oxide, you're still getting some granulation in there. And I'm going to grab my blue aqua. We're going to see if I can't possibly mix up. I'm like trying to set that so that it'll keep drying, right? And get that off. I'm doing this in the center because I know I'm going to want a lot of this color once I get it correct. And I'm going to take my PR101. Here we go. All right, that's going to get us, that's getting us started. Hello, Joseph. The video that will not be done. I hear that. I was like, I've got to get this done because it needs to be oh my gosh, look at this. We haven't even, like, with everything else we've done, we've just make up such messy. I do have 2 others, so it's fine. I am working on, there we go. That brought it back a little bit too green. I want the black, the gray. Oh my God, I hope you guys cannot hear the neighbor's dog. He sounds like he's choking on his bark every time he does it. And the more I do this, the more I get on my brush, the more I'm not leaving behind. But as soon as I get this color, I'll be able to mix it quickly. So my apologies. I was hoping I would be able to figure that out before the stream. Yep, I could not. I just didn't have the just did not have the time to get it done. And the thing is I just keep having to rinse. Otherwise, I'm going to contaminate all of these colors while they're wet. And I don't want to do that. See? Look at that. We've just gone the wrong direction. Getting darker. Getting darker. That's more. I just know I'm going to need a lot of, really just want to grab my Hydrus Set one. And I don't want to be, guess what? We're adding in from set one. Oh, hello, Starving Artist Collective. And that is a 9-headed Hydra. And like I said, while the legend does change for how many heads the Hydra has, according to Britannica, it said 9, so I went with 9. I'll tell you, 7 would have been a lot faster to draw. We didn't go there. So I'm just, in the interest of time, grabbing some of my carbon black and I'm bringing it in here. And yeah, it's taken up a ton of spot on this plate, but that's okay. We're going to use it. So just know set 3 plus carbon black, which is one of the colors from set 1 that I recommend. And this is why, if you get set 3, that you might want to just add the black into your choice. And that carbon black is PBK 7. So it's not PBK 11. It's not going to be granulating. All right, now we are diving in, and hopefully we are going to paint our background quickly. I'm using my dirty water because, you know, why not? The sky is going to be moody anyways. It's not going to be white, and we're just going to go for it. I had thought about masking out some of them so that I could just go right over them really quickly. Again, it was a matter of time. The day was just not allowing. It was like I was in a time warp today. Everything was going so fast. And stuff has been drying so quickly in the studio, so quickly. So yeah, I'm going to put once I can edit the video on YouTube, once YouTube finishes processing the stream, and I can go back and edit and, you know, add the, hey, watch this next and stuff like that. I'll add chapters. So if you're watching the replay, you're welcome. You're able to just, you were able, if you're just finding out now, you're already here, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm going to add chapters so that they can quickly, if they don't want to see the colors for set 3, then they can just jump ahead. Again, if I don't get to finish this today with you live, it will get finished. You guys will see it posted on Instagram. I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do a video once Inktober, once I've finished my Inktober, I'm going to try to get ahead so that I can release it like Halloween, where it would be the 31st, and do a walkthrough of my sketchbook, and so I can really show you guys. I mean, yes, I posted them on Instagram, but I gotta say the camera just was not nice on a few. I wish I would have masked these out because it would have been so much easier to just go right over them. This is a time where I would love to have the masking fluid have been on here. If I had like an extra 2 hours, before the stream, it would have been done. All right, we're just going to get some of this side in first. I'm using my 3/4 inch oval wash by Silver Black Velvet. This is very wet, and this brush is very wet. If I want to get this darker, which I'm going to, I'll show you in a moment, I'm just going to want to suck the water out of my brush and then just go in and grab just the pigment. But let's just get some of this in between these guys here. Because I wasn't going to use any gouache today, so I'm trying to keep it as clean as I can. By as clean as I can, I mean not going over any of my Hydra heads here. And I know I have that darker. It's fine. I'm wanting to get this worked while everything is still nice and wet so that it'll just kind of move, spread on its own. I think I'm going to switch it up. Well, let me get rid of what's in my brush first. And you certainly can, with the point of this oval wash, still get in close. You see, this is very wet. But as long as I don't paint into, you know, get onto that Hydra, like right there, I touched just a tiny bit, but it's fine. Then the pigment is only going to flow as far as the water is. Okay. All right, we're starting to get there. All right, that brush is still dirty, but it's good enough. So I'm grabbing, actually I'm gonna grab my Mimic. I do have these all listed. This is a number 10 round. I would have preferred bigger than that, but that's what's sitting right here. So just grabbing what I've got sitting here. But the point on this, I can really get in a bit closer. Trying to keep that edge wet so that I can just keep working this way without it being a problem. I am not looking for a nice even wash. And you see here, like it's pooled because my paper buckled there a little bit. This paper will buckle. I can just lift that right off. It's fine. That is one thing. I meant to tape it down, which I still can. As soon as I have a moment where I can pause what I'm doing, I'm going to grab my tape and just kind of go over the, as this is just taped around the edge of the paper. The page is not taped down, secured into the actual book. And I'll do that, and it might help a little bit. And I didn't rub out all of my pencil lines yet. I did do some, line work with the pigments because I wanted to give that to you guys. So if you go over, it is pinned in the comments if you're here during the live stream. You can go to my Patreon and you can download this line art if you would like it. And have a go at putting some color to it yourself. Okay, I'm just going to pause for a moment so I can get this tape down a bit more. And look at that color is just like, you guys can't see it, but sometimes your palette is like the best piece of artwork. Just the way things start to move. Okay. I'm just going to grab some wide tape here. And my artist tape is touching my paper, but this is just a painter's tape that I grabbed at like the dollar store. And again, this is in my sketchbook. I'm not overly concerned. It is supposed to be acid free, but again, I got it at the dollar store. My expectations are, limited. And I have, before I close this up, in between, because I knew I was going to throw a lot of water at this, one of these sheets, I cut these to fit the size of my sketchbooks. These are just, they're cutting mats. You get them 2 for $1 at the dollar store. If you're here in the US, it's like 2 for $1 at the Dollar Tree. And I cut them to fit my sketchbooks so that I can put them in between the pages. So if I'm working, because I actually had some artwork ruined in my Paul Rubens sketchbook that I liked, and yeah, I used an elegant writer with a lot of water, went right through the paper, ruined the artwork on the page behind. During Inktober, I've only worked on one side of my paper because I didn't want to risk, if there was any ink that I chose that decided it was going to bleed through this paper, I didn't want to risk it ruining. So I've had that in between, and yeah, they're so easy to cut. I can use my I have a cutter that's not up here. No, it's downstairs right now because I was cutting stuff downstairs. But I have a cutter that just like, it like slides. You put it in there and it just slides and cuts. This is already buckled. It might buckle a little bit more, but at least that's going to help hold it down on those 3 sides. So, all right, moving on. But yeah, those I think are wonderful for, I've got paint all in this size 8 brush. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it in here just to not waste it. Like I just touched it to something and it made a mess. So yeah, pleasantly though, I was pleasantly surprised, which is another reason that I've linked these, this visual journal in the description. Nothing I have used has bled through a single page the entire month so far. And I've thrown lots of water at a few things, like when I was working with the ink tints, when I did the seahorse first, the seahorse with a saddle. I threw a lot of water at that. I was so frustrated with the ink tints pans because I could not get, no matter what I did, I just could not get the smooth wash that I can with watercolor. So I was frustrated. But all that to say, like, nothing went through. Nothing went through the paper. Yeah, I dealt with like buckling, and see, that's got a lot of pigment. And that's okay. That's a little more pigment than I wanted right there because it's going to be really darker. So I am just going to not panic. just take my other brush with just water, and we are going to move that around. And then it's not going to be much darker than the rest of my, it'll blend in with the rest of my sky. And I don't mind if some areas are darker. I wanted like that really ominous, you know, here's Heracles, he's got to battle the Hydra, and this is like, you know, the epic battle. Some of that tooth is dark because it still has pencil lines in it. See, it's very easy to work. But if you've never used liquid watercolor before, you saw how dark like that. You saw how dark that was. That was all pigment. That was the brush I used to grab the pigment from the other palette. So that was full of pigment. But it is definitely easy to work it around. I can lift if I want. Maybe we just bring some more up here. You see, this is going to give me a hard edge because that's starting to dry. But if I rinse my brush out, then tap my brush off so it's just damp, and come in around that edge softly. Now that should just blend in. Okay, there we go. All right, we're getting the feeling of like some cloudy cloudy sky there. There's still a lot of pigment in that silver black velvet. I'm gonna come over here, work my way up that way, and we'll meet around the top. I did a nice thin leading edge here so I'd be able to come together where the two are and not worry. Okay. I'm like, what time is it? Oh my goodness. Let's see. How fast can we watercolor? Watercolor can be a quick medium, or, you know, can be just as detailed and in-depth. Oh, clearly I grabbed some pigment with that one. I think I had some pigment settled in the bottom of my, probably didn't clean my my water pot very well when I ran for water, because yet again I'm like, oh no, I forgot to change the water. That's why you'll see, like in that intro, it used to be all the time like changing the paint water, because that's usually what I was probably doing, running the, I'm sorry if it bothers you if it gets turned, but it's just going to help me, being right-handed, work in here and work faster. We'd be like changing the paint water moments before the stream starts, and then the stream starts and I can't breathe because I just had to run down the stairs and up the stairs, then back down the stairs and back up the stairs again. They say that they're half stairs. Right, there's a landing and some go this way and some go this way. But I have to come down the stairs and then go up the stairs to get to the water. Many stairs in this house. All right, I'm not going to go too much further around because I know it's just going to dry before I get there. I mean, I'm not that fast. It's going to dry before I get there. So we're just going to go there. And now, okay, I can work my way up. So knowing again that and I don't mind if it's darker on this side, right? Our action's taking place over here. This can be darker. I want to bring you here. So I don't mind if this has more pigment on this side. It's not going to bother me in the least, right? And we're just going to try to actually get this pigment in. I'm just going to work what I have on this brush, and you're going to see just laying it in messy. Then I'm going to come back with my other brush and some water, and we're going to kind of move that around and hopefully get a sky that's pretty similar to what we got over here. Just getting that into the edge. How satisfying is that when you get to peel that edge, the tape? And all right, now I've got to get this working. My water. So I'm not going to come in with a sopping wet brush. And Silver Black Velvet will hold a lot. And here, let me bring you full screen. There we go. How's that? You guys see? I can actually slide you over a little bit so you can kind of see the palette and the painting. I have my number 10 rounds on the wrong side of my paper. I just kind of have to scoot over. Sorry if I'm bouncing the desk for a moment. All right. Now, just going to take that water, going around that edge, right up to the Hydra. And I'm just going to let that pigment flow into it. And remembering, like, where I lift my brush, it deposits color. So if you see that, like if I pull away, right, wherever I lift, it deposits the color. So you can use that to your advantage when you're doing this. Like, I want the darkest spot to be there, so I'm going to work around and then lift my brush at that point. And while I have this here, right in here, you can see through to the sky. This guy was interesting to sketch out. Oh my goodness, the way I was envisioning him, like coming around. You can see like the belly, if you would, of that neck, and then turning its body and lifting, so you're starting to see it under here again. There were a few of them that I kept questioning, like, is that right? Would that be right? See, I waited a little too long. May have to come in with some more pigment over here because it's not able to get that to move. Yeah, okay, well, we're going to give you a pass, Joseph, because you weren't here. But I said, I know it's Inktober. But if you look, the Hydrus looks like ink bottles. So we're calling it good enough. I'm taking artistic liberty with that one. There we go. That's a little better. And sometimes when I'm looking straight at what I'm doing, I'll be looking straight at it and I'm like, unsure. But if I'll look up and look at my monitor, And you can do the same thing if you just turn on the camera on your phone, point it at your artwork, and look at your camera. Look at your artwork through your camera. You'll see your artwork completely different. I do have Inktense. I've already done quite a few in Inktense. This month, I have done some Inktense. I plan on doing some more in Inktense. So yes, I do. This was just me really wanting to play with some Hydrus colors because I love them. Just bringing some more of that carbon black over. And I started in here because if I had a lot of that black, I wasn't going to mind if it was really dark right there. Okay. I know I got quiet. Sorry. See, I'm like concentrating around these little, I don't even know what you would call them. The little things that kind of hang off its head. I'm sure there's a name for them on other animals that have them. This is just my take. Right, on a mythological creature. It was hard to find an actual reference. I don't think they've ever captured one of these on film before. Got a little pushback of color right there, and I'm not, it's driving me nuts. It's from where I put that first wash down. So you see these are definitely like transparent. Your layers will show through. Everything dries so quickly. And that is one thing that I've been liking about the Meeden and the Academy papers. They have been staying wet longer here in the studio. Of course, those are 100% cotton. Come on, a little bit more. And yeah, they've been staying wet longer, so I'm able to really work my paint longer. I'm really enjoying both of those papers, the Bahong Academy and the Meeden. I just got the Meeden rough and hot press. Just came in the other day from Meeden. So I'm looking forward to trying those. That'll be after the month. Oh, have a great rest of your day, Teresa. Thanks for stopping by, hanging out with us. This is just a little bit too light for what I want. There we go. We're getting there. It is definitely darker on this side. And again, like I said, that's okay. This can be darker. I want our focus to be here. All right, I'm going to flip this upside down for a moment just so I can get into this spot. And then I'm going to put the water in because hopefully we can do some water quickly. And I will say that I find that I can certainly work my painting a lot better with the Academy and the Meeden 100% cotton papers. I do like them. This is not 100% cotton paper, which again, you know, that in itself has its own limitations, but for an affordable choice, if you haven't used cotton paper before and you want to try one, I do have them linked below still. I definitely recommend, and I also recommend buying them straight from Meeden. Go straight from Meeden because right now, like, they've changed up, and I shared with you when I was sharing those papers that Meeden has changed the glue that bound the blocks, because they're blocks, and they changed that glue. It was blue on the outside and now it's not. It's clear, just like the Bahong Academy is. But both are sold by Meeden. There's a link directly to Meeden's site in the description. You know, it is an affiliate link, but I say order right from them because if you got 2 blocks of, well, when I got 2 blocks of paper, the shipping was free. So, and I wasn't breaking the bank getting them either. So when I just ordered the rough and the hot press, I didn't have to pay shipping on those. It was wonderful. But I don't know if Amazon, you know, has gone through all their older stock. So if you order from them, you might get some that had the older version of that glue that was blue. I prefer the clear one because I found that when you remove some of those, when you were removing some of those pages from the block, like you could see the blue edge. I mean, yeah, you could take that off. It's just tedious. And I think that's why they went to the clear. I don't think it was that there was anything wrong with the glue. I think it was just that enough artists actually, you know, contacted them about it and was like, don't like it. Still trying to decide, like, what color What color should our Hydra be? Did you see how curled that was? Like working my brush. Like Silver Black Velvet is not a brush that if you're someone who needs a brush with a lot of snap, that'll snap that right back. I mean, they hold the point wonderfully. But a lot of snapback they do not have. They're definitely more squirrel-like than sable-like. Okay. All the sheen was just gone from the page. It's just so fast. It's warm in the studio today, though. I think the heat is on. And I don't know. It's like 64 degrees outside right now. So, I mean, I guess at nighttime it does get chilly. But gosh, it just makes everything dry so fast. I'm missing a bit of color right there. All right. Now you see if I pull towards that, I'm going to deposit a lot of color, and I just have a really fine spot in here. So I don't want to pull towards that. I want to pull away from it. You see every time I pull away, it leaves color coming off of my brush. So when I want to get in these really fine spots, I always want to pull away from the spot. Next, back here, that can dissipate in and mix with the rest of this that's still wet. Now, one more time, I'm just going to grab a little bit more water because I'm going to want this wash to, you're going to see me carry that water all the way over. And that's because I don't want a hard line in my sky. Just darkening this little section up. Got that little spot I missed. So now you're going to see, I don't want hard lines, so I'm just going to rinse in my water, tap my brush. Now I can just kind of blend out that edge. And I will take it all the way see, you see the edge where I've stopped. And I'll just blend out. I'm not using any more pigment. I'm just making sure that any color is not going to just stop suddenly. And sometimes you have to take it right to the edge of your... I did want a little bit more down here though. So I'm going to wet it first. All right. I just heard Lou start my Jeep up. My phone's going to say, oh, we're driving somewhere. I know that that's a lot darker. Let me just turn us back around. There we go. Remember, I wet that whole area. So that I could just blend it. My brush is not soaked. I am not leaving, you know, puddles of water anywhere. It is a very, it's just a damp brush. All right, I think in here might need a little bit extra. There we go. And we're going to call that good enough. I'm like not really digging right here. So what I did was I just looked up at my monitor and that just kind of jumped out at me. There we go. All right. Oh, I do. Am starving. That's a great question because I've actually reviewed those here on the channel before. It was during a live stream, in fact. And let me just put that question up there for everybody. So there we go. Do the Artegria watercolor brushes that Lindsay reviewed a few days ago, said they're made with similar synthetic fiber to silver brushes. thinking about getting the quills. Yeah, I do have, trying to think where my box of the quills are. I have both. I have the quills and I have, these are the brushes that Starving is talking about right here. It's the Intuition series. Of course, I don't have them linked below, but oh, I put a water brush in there. Oh, the quills are in here. Yep. So here, these are the quills that she's talking about right here. These are great. Yeah, I definitely recommend them. I agree with Lindsay 100%. Like if you're looking for a set of brushes that is not going to set you back a fortune, but are going to be decent quality, definitely, I do recommend those. I think I was gifted the set of 10, and Artegria, however you want to say it, sent me the quills. So just to, you know, for complete transparency there. But my, you know, none of it was, none of it mattered if the review was my own. You know what I mean? Like when I did that review, it was my own opinion. And little triangle spot in the venter mass of the next right here. Boom. You're talking about that right there, Joseph? Because I just noticed that myself. And there's one right here that I did not get the color in. And this is, I just grabbed the 10 just because they happen to be closest to me. But just so that you guys know, like the points on these, the Mimic and the Silver Black Velvet, the Mimics are similar to the Silver Black Velvet. I'd say they have just slightly more snap to them. There we go. Filled in. I think that's what you were talking about, Joseph. And yeah, those were supposed to be filled in, which I'm glad I got them now versus later. Yippers. There we go. Okay. So yes, hope that answers your question, Starving. I definitely recommend them both. I'll try to use them. I'll try to use them in the next live stream. I'll leave them over here by my desk so that I remember. We've been talking about the Mimics for a while now. I'll switch them out. I'll grab those and I'll use them so you guys can see how they actually perform. Definitely do recommend. And the quills hold a lot of water. They will surely hold a lot of water. And speaking of water, let's get some water down here. This is going to be, we're going to do, this is like a cliff, right? He's coming out on this point and here's a cliff. If I stick to kind of some muted colors, and these colors are very vibrant, but I'm going to be using the their complementaries to mute them down some because I want them to be, I want this to be more muted. I was really thinking about like almost like a gray or black color, but this is not the set to be doing the monochromatic with black, because then all I would need is the carbon black from set 1, and that's not what we're talking about today. So I'm going to put in, I think I need to put a little bit of this down first because my water is going to come to that, and I'm going to make some like splashes. I really wanted to mask out some splashes. I've shown you that before when you take masking fluid with the paper towel and you just kind of splot it around there. I could actually do some on here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to do it on this one. I'm just going to do right here. It'll just be water splashing on him. I'll just show you one quick one because that can dry and will be dry in plenty of time. So what I do is I just take this is PBO or Pebio, however you guys say it, drawing gum, and I just dab, scrunch up my paper towel, and I just dab it in there, right? So it's on there. And then I just come in and make some splashes. Right? Do the same here. I could even make it look like the water is crashing back there with just a few, so like a wave was hitting that point. Why not? All right, I'm just going to leave those and let them dry, and we'll take that off once we finish our painting. Okay, so let me put in some color here, and for that I'm going to try the old scraper because I want to see how it works with this. Again, I'm just grabbing a little bit more of that carbon black. I think I'm going to need some. And I'm going to, first I'm going to wet this area. And I know that it's tacky. It's not totally dry yet, but it's fine. It is fine. This is really wet. Picturing like grass to the edge of this or something. It's like a rocky cliff. I'm not sure where he's at, but it's rocky. He's hanging out over the point. He's got to lure this guy in so he can sever his head to find out 2 more are going to grow back in its place. So I really need to let that kind of, I'm just drying my brush off because I left a lot of water here. So now I have a thirsty brush. I'm just picking up some of this extra water, making it a little more even. I just want to dive right in with this color. Right, I'm going to take the dark right up under the edge. You see what I mean about when you let go, you leave a concentration of color right there. So wherever you let go, wherever you lift that brush, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to pull back on that point just so it can flood some into that area. All right, I'm going to bring that down. I'm going to tip this just slightly. This, I'm talking with a brush in my mouth. This was a corner. It came in a box, right? A box that was shipped to me. I saved the corners. This one I cut and I went like that so that now I can just throw that underneath whatever I'm working on. And I have a slight incline, so that's going to help my watercolor travel this way. Grabbing my other brush, and I'm just going to grab, this was the raw umber. We're going to throw some of that in there. Literally, I am throwing the color in there. As this gets down, I want the water to come to this, so I don't mind if this gets lighter because I'm going to, some of it's going to be will come water right over the top. All right, that has, I don't remember, the black velvet has black in it. Okay, so I'm just going to let that be thinner. And now, just grabbing a piece of just cut up card. First time I did this, I was like, that's not going to work. That's not going to look right. It's not going to look like rocks. I was very pleasantly surprised once it dried how much it did look like rocks. Well, he is back. I can like make some scratches into my surface. Now, mind you, I am damaging my paper. So once I've done that, there's no going back. But this will definitely, be surprised. It just want some shadow like this. Is kind of overhanging. Look like a rocky cliff. That easy. All right, how about if we take a little bit of our raw umber, right? I'm not gonna need a lot. And you see, now you're gonna see me start mixing smaller when I need, like I'm just gonna do right here, right? I want green grass. Neither one of these, like that's blue, and that is like a teal green, right? What is that one called? Aqua blue or blue aqua. But green is the first one that's in it. So yeah, I'm not going to get very good grass, if you would. So we're going to grab this and we're going to try to mix ourselves up. And see, that's still, look, so too bright. Too bright. Thank you. There we go. I just want really desaturated. I'm going to let the texture of the paper work for me. Right? If I get some dry brush, I'm just going to embrace it. I'm not walking that close out to the edge. Nope. For sure I'm not. I do not like heights. Like my knees will just get all, oh, they'll feel funny if I get too close to the edge of something. Look at that. I want darker. Yeah, I'm going raw umber. Contaminating the heck out of my yellow because now I'm just like, I just want to go. I want to hurry up. I want it done. Like I want to get to the next part. And you see when I start hurrying, like look at how much space I just took up with all that. But look at how much darker. Look how nice that green is. You can definitely mix some beautiful colors. With this being really wet, it's like kind of like spidering. I like it. I'm not going to worry if it's not, you know, perfectly. I look out at my yard. I don't need a nice, smooth, even, flat wash. I want different values, different you know, areas. I don't want a smooth, flat wash. When I look out in my yard, like gosh, my yard, I see areas that like I've got this bright yellow green section of grass because there was a patch and Lou got grass seed, but it wasn't quite the same grass seed as the other grass seed. So now you have this one patch that wants to be like, hello, this bright yellow green color. And then there's other grass near it that's like dark green. It is what it is. I definitely don't have landscapers keeping my yard. There we go. Just gonna let that be. Let it alone. Walking away. Walking away. This corner is done. We just have to put our little Heracles in here, but I'm not worried about him yet. I can do him right at the very end because you know what? I'm just doing, it's the shadow of him. So it's just, he's just going to be dark. And I'm going to put a little silver for his sword. So, and that I'm just going to use my, oh, where did it go? My Faber-Castell metallics. Okay, and see if I put this on. Doesn't matter, I can put it in there now. There's the metal blade of his sword. He's come to slay the beast. All right, let's do some water. This needs to dry a little bit. And again, remember what I said, once you, I didn't like that hard line at the edge. Once you put heat to this, you're just going to lock down your colors. But remember, I have masking on my paper. No heat can go on this. I do not want to bond my masking fluid to my paper. So I am not going to use heat with this. Look at the black and the green, like how they're kind of swirling around. I love watching the palette. The palette sometimes is like the best part. Okay. So now I'm done with that green, but I don't think I'm going to get rid of this green. I think I'm just going to put it into my sea. Yeah, let's do that. I just want to wet this whole area quickly. So again, don't care if it's my dirty water because that's what my water looks like. And it doesn't matter. This sea is raging and it's angry, and if my, see how it doesn't even really look, you're not really seeing the color. I probably should have painted my Hydra in first, but you know, it's whatever. I just want to get this, the majority of this in for you guys to see. That brush was very wet. I'm just kind of moving some of that water over here. I'm going to need it. It will dry. It will not be too wet. Remember I said I want some of this water coming over here. Remember I have a little bit of masking here that like there was a splash. We're going to let the sea just come right to the edge of that. And it doesn't matter if I pulled some of that color back over here. Now I will say that this oval wash, again, this is the 3/4 oval wash by Silver Black Velvet. There is an oval wash in that set, Hydrus Set. So I'll be using that. I'm going to grab those next week. Next week we will definitely use those. And this guy, though, holds a ton of water. All right, I'm going to kind of let it right there. Let's get this part in. This is nice and wet. I'm going to be using some of the DrPH Martin's Bleed Proof White. Just using that green, right? We're going to pull some of this through. No, we're going to use blue too. Actually, I do need to wet over here because I'm just going to keep working it. I'll be grabbing my smaller brush to get in around the little delicate spots there. I'm not too worried if I go over my man because again, he's going to be done in black. All right, there we go. Let's pull some more of this green. Don't be afraid of it. rinse that out. I'm going to switch now. That brush, these brushes are going to have to get cleaned. All right, stick that in my paint bucket. Do I still have black? No. I had it laying down, and when the brush had color in it, I was laying it down on my desk. There we go. Okay, so I'm grabbing my 10 round, my Mimic 10 round, and I'm actually going to pull some of this blue right in, and I'm pulling some of that carbon black because I want to like really neutralize that. This is not a blue that I really want. I want a it's just going to give me more green. It's all right. We're just going with it. We're just going with it. You see how that's kind of like it's spidering out? I don't really want that. So I'm just going to make sure I have a damp brush and just come back through those edges. I don't really want a hard edge here, but I'm not too worried. You're going to see I'm going to use the DrPH Martin's Bleed-Proof White here in a moment. And we're going to work on getting some waves in there. I went up into my sky. I wasn't paying attention. I feel like I need to paint louder. Right here I have some of that masking, so we're going to have like a wave splashing up. So you see, like when I start to work with these mimics, just like my silver black velvet, when I'm working all that paint out and they're getting, the brush is getting drier, you'll see like when I move, it kind of still stays curved, but it doesn't stay curved as much as the silver black velvet does. Silver black velvet is softer. Not as soft as a Princeton Neptune. So if you've used Princeton Neptune before, I don't find them to be as soft as that, but definitely They are a bit softer. They don't have as much snap. All right, we need to darken this up. I'm taking just a touch of that carbon black from set 1. And I'm going to desaturate that. There we go. All right. I want this to be a little wetter. I'm just going to grab a flat. This is a Mimic 3/4 flat. Right, so I want to quickly, taking clean water, I want to be able to work wet into wet, so I get really soft blending of these colors. I'm gonna take that off my, our C's really turned green, hasn't it? I said I want the water coming up to this, so you're going to see some of that, like seeing through the water for some of those rocks. And again, I don't want this to kind of, if that was ground and that was grass and they're plants, then, you know, great, but it's not. So we just smooth it out. I'm going to darken that up just a little bit. I am fighting the urge to paint along the edge of that cliff because I want this to come straight, feel like it's coming straight across. So the cliff is, you know, in front of it. If I followed and you saw my brush strokes going along the edge of that, it's not going to feel, it's not going to stand out as much, if that makes sense. Now see up here, I don't have, that's not wet anymore, so it's not blending quite the way I want it to. So we'll just pull that water through there and right there. Now when I pull this color through, it'll be nice and soft. And again, just get some of that darker color up underneath that head of our Hydra. See how I went around the Hydra there? I don't want, I'm going to come back through. No, it doesn't matter if I, like I said, it doesn't matter if I paint over Heracles. We definitely need to darken up some of this foreground. Thank you. Look at how the green is just pushing the color. It's just pushing it away. All right, I said we were going to have some of the bleed proof white coming in. Let me just do a little bit more. I'm just thinking water waves, right? This thing's moving through that water. I might try to grab that darker color. The other ones are pushing into it. This is where this water is like splashing on him. Same here, we have some splashing happening up on him. I will be having to paint around, negatively around that when I do that part of the Hydra. All right. So see now how it looks like our cliff comes down into the water. I'm going to take the DrPH Martin's Bleed Proof White. Oh, have a great day, Dylan. Thanks for hanging with us. Okay. I'm grabbing my number 8 round. I like to work right in the lid. Grabbing my clean water. I've got to move these, otherwise I'm going to go into my dirty water and bring in like some cleanish water. I actually think I'm going to put a little bit of this right here on the plate so that I can keep coming back here. Because I just have a feeling I'm going to mix it in with the stuff that's on my paper and I'll just contaminate the heck out of it. I think I got a few flakes of the dry from when you unscrew your lid. That dry DrPH Martin's that forms around the lid. Water touches that, it will reactivate. So just so you know, be aware. All right, let's, and this is really too bright. I'm going to work this in. It's bleed proof unless what you're painting on top of is still wet. If this is still wet, that color can leach up into the white. If my paper was completely dry, then it wouldn't. It would it would stay very white. And, you know, I don't necessarily want it to be completely, I don't want that bright, bright white right now. We're just gonna make it look like water. We need this water to crash up on these rocks. Remember, I have a little bit of masking here. Right, so I can, there's so much bleed proof white on this brush, I cannot even. You see how that came off of there? Like, all that was doing was wanting to flood my paper with it. Just gonna pop that back off. There we go. I want it to look like the water is splashing against these rocks. Thank you. Fly Me to the Moon says, I love the rocks. You see how easy it is? Like when you first start scratching, you're like, this does not look like a rock. And the first time I did it, I was just like, what did I do? I just like ruined it. And then I kind of let it go. And when I came back, I was like, well, I'll be darned. It does actually look like rocks. So again, the paper underneath is still wet. So I know I may have some of that, you know, greenish blue coming up into my color, and I'm fine with that. You just have to know that bleed proof white is only bleed proof if what you're painting it on top of is not still wet. Otherwise, just like any other, you know, watercolor, it's gonna mix with what's on the paper. We're gonna do some of these little ripples coming out. Because our Hydra is pushing that water with its body. And if you want to soften it, just rub your finger over it. And then over here, I had some more splashes that were coming up. And we're just going to make this. I know when I remove that masking, I can see what the masking looks like right now. So just want to make it look a little bit more like a big wave was crashing there. We get to see some waves like that crash on the Maine coast. We definitely have a rocky coastline. So some of this is going to come off when I remove my masking, but I'm just making sure that any areas that like I think might be masking, but maybe aren't, that it gets covered. So look at look at our wave. Let me just bring that up so you can see it. Boom. There's our wave that's breaking on our rocks. Okay. There probably would be some like around here, but I don't want to lose too much of our cliff, the edge of our cliff. Barely touching with the tip of your brush, just barely. And you'll get those nice fine little dot, the spray, without having to spatter that water. Okay, I still think that the water could be darker for sure, but in the interest of time, because it is already late, this guy needs some color. What color? I don't know. I'm thinking like, look at this purple that was mixed up. And that was just the, well, it was a combination of a few colors. Bring that in. It was that, yep. Bring that blue back down here. And I think it might have a little bit of this in there too. See what I mean? When I start mixing, it just makes a big old mess. Reactivate that color. All right. Let's get our that a little bit of the blue. As I know, I'll have to mix it up some more, but let's dive in. Yeah. I can probably do them everything in this color because I can definitely still see through to see my line work. So I'm going to go for it. I'm just going to cover all of my Hydra with this, and this will be my base. And then I will come back and build up my layers. I think this will go much faster. I just touched into my sky, which I didn't want to do. Because I have a very wet brush. So you see it's definitely a contrasting color from the sky, which if I was doing everything more monochromatic, I would have just come right at these and just made them be just slightly, a value darker and kept it going so that they kind of blended right in with the atmosphere we made with our sky. Okay, pull that guy down. Oh, I gotta be careful because I do have a lot of water in my brush right now. A lot of color in my brush right now. I didn't want to get onto this one until I was ready to get there, but I did. See, my brush is getting dry, so when I picked up more pigment, this is a little bit darker. And my guy is dry. Again, I'm going to come back with a second coat, and that'll give definition to areas that need to be darker. This will be my base. It'll be my lightest value. You see, I'm just kind of pulling in the water and wetting the area first. Still have a lot of that pigment in my brush. It's going to be darker, so it's fine. I think I missed this part right here with my line work. I'll have to go back in and touch that up once it's dry. Okay. I got a lot more to go, and I need more pigment. That's why I kind of stuck to these guys, just in case what I mix up isn't exactly the same. But while I am on this side, we're going to paint in this part. That masking fluid is there. If you see some of that going under the water, it's not gonna matter. It's just looking like you can see them through the water. Okay. Let's see. We'll do this guy. These guys would definitely need much more detail. And if you're still here hanging out watching, thanks for hanging out with me. Our moderators, Tara and Joseph, huge thank you to them. And see right in there, there's a little spot I should have caught sky color, but I can come back. I know exactly what that was. It wasn't something I had to mix, so it's not a big deal. Tara and Joseph are moderators. They both have channels here on YouTube. If you haven't already, I definitely encourage you to check them out. Joseph live streams every Monday at 3 p.m., same time that I do. And I'll catch you in the chat over on his channel every Monday afternoon because I mod for him as well. Tara does not live stream, but she does have a channel with some great videos. I've done collabs with both Tara and Joseph. You can find those on their channels. Happy hunting. It's been about a year. I think Joseph and I spent longer than that. All right, I'm going to mix up some more. Before I go back into these last three, I'm going to mix up some color because they're also pushed back. And it won't matter because I can darken this guy up. But I'm going to need a bit more. I'm trying to go into my clean water there. I need a bit more color. So I'm just going to bring in this blue. I'm just going to bring it right on over here. I want that purple. Ooh, look at that. There we go. That was the red I wanted. The first place. Look at how nice and dark that purple is. You know what? We're not even going to bring in the red oxide. We're going to go with that, and I'm just going to desaturate with a little bit of the it's going to be gorgeous. Yep, that's what we're going to do. Perfect. That tiny bit of the black from set 1. This is going to be, I'm going to leave this up here that's darker. I'm going to rinse out actually I'm going to pull a lot of this color off first. Then I'm going to rinse out my brush. And I'm going to paint their bellies a little bit lighter color, so they're a little more similar to this. Especially this guy. I should have done him before I should have done his belly instead of doing that one. So yeah, I know that some people, including my mods, may have to go. I'm going to paint it out. I mean, you guys are still, according to YouTube, you guys are still here watching. And if you're still here watching, I'm just going to paint it out. But I don't want to keep my mods if they have. I know it's late for Tara. Tara's like 5 hours ahead of us. I'm sure if Lou was missing me, he'd poke his head in. Or he'll turn on the stream. Sometimes he'll turn on the stream and he'll check to see if I'm still live. Okay, we'll let that set because I have a lot of water on that. I want to let these absorb that water in first for a moment. I'm not sure how much longer it will take me to get them complete, but you know, I definitely want to follow it through. Can't walk away now and not know how they come out. Actually, I want to post this for tomorrow. This is tomorrow's prompt. I haven't even done today's prompt yet. I'll be doing that while after dinner when I sit down. Again, I'm not worried if it overlaps with the water because it's just going to look like you're seeing it through the water and it would appear a little darker. So not going to worry about that. And we're going to look right through his mouth. And I never did paint his little horn. I would imagine, I picture it like a horn. You know what I mean? Like a rhinoceros horn. They got a horn they can impale you. You know, they have no hands. They have to defend themselves somehow. So between the teeth and the horn, that's what I picture are their defenses. For sure. So yeah, both Joseph and Tara's channels are linked in the description below. Just want to make sure that while everybody's here that I do thank them and tell you about their channels. Encourage you to check them out. I don't know why he's purple, but like I said, I kind of pictured him more of like a black or like a blackish, greenish. I don't even know. But in this light, he looks purple. All right. Yes. Look at that blue. It's just like completely kept right on creeping in there. Kept on keeping on. Kind of want to wet the edges of this like around because I don't want this one to be so clear. He's in the distance. I want him kind of fuzzy, so I'm just going to rinse my brush out. I don't want a lot of water because I don't want to flood. I don't want to flood my background and, you know, affect the look that I have on my sky. But I just want the edge to be able to be soft when I paint him in so that he'll look further away. See, I go to paint and apparently the brain can't talk and paint at the same time. I just don't understand it. You know what it is? I'm trying to stay inside lines. And when I'm trying to stay inside lines, that's when I concentrate. And when I'm really concentrating, well, that's when it's hard to talk. I want this little bit. Oh, that has white in it. Don't use that with the white. Again, he's set back there, so hopefully when that... Just a little darker than I wanted right there. I just want to kind of try to blend that edge. All right, pushing him in the distance. He has no details. We don't see eyes. We don't see features. Same with this guy. He's pushed back more. That blue is like really encroaching here. This is that same one. When I did my line work, I did it with a very fine liner. It was the 005. So I know when this is done, like I can leave the ones that are further in the distance, I can leave them alone. But if I want to take a thicker liner and come in and say darken up or thicken up, you know, make my lines thicker for the ones that are in the closest to us in the foreground, that'll just kind of crisp it up. A 9-horned, 9-head flying purple people eater. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. That's it. I can picture Joseph singing it for us too. I'm like, I just want to pull that. I need like a little tiny squeegee it out of my way. All right, I'm going to start here. This might be darker. Just going to keep working that wet edge downward. Remember, every time I lift my brush, I deposit color, so as long as I keep that edge nice and wet, I won't get a line. Right, and I don't mind if I have more color right there. In fact, right inside here, come into this edge. My brush is dry. This paint is drying, so there's very little water here. I'm going to get a very dark value. And that's what I want right in between there. And we're going to darken it up here as well. Lovely. Love it. All right, I'm going to keep working up his head. I have to turn this again, so my apologies. I know some people are like, I don't like it when you turn it, but sometimes it's easier just to shift this around. Make sure nothing is on me because I know I'm going to touch my painting. And this is even still, it still feels cool to the touch. So it's like, it's still damp. You guys know there was going to be no talking painting those skinny little things. Like, I don't even know what you would call those. I just picture them as like flexible. Thinking like a seahorse. You know, a seahorse has some of this stuff there. That's stuck in your head. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and that's one that'll stick with you too. Again, should the, you know, horns been like brownish color? I don't know. I'm also thinking it's dark. Right? It's dark. This guy's got like a dinosaur, type like with the horn. I would just think of oh my gosh, what is the one? It's not a T-Rex, but it's one of the great big ones, and it has the horn like that. And why can't I think of it? Anyhow, I picture that. Like if this thing came out of water and evolved onto land, this mythological creature, that's the dinosaur he became, but he lost all his other heads. Or maybe that one's related to it. Maybe one of the heads that came off ended up. Mandrels, thank you, if they're fleshy bits and not hard horns. Thanks, Joseph. So yeah, I picture these as, these ones here are, I picture like that, like fleshy. They kind of wiggle around. You can float with the breeze, you know what I mean? But the one in the top center, that's like a horn. That's like a rhinoceros. That'll impale you. Don't get too close to that. I'm purposely not going all the way here because this is too dark. I need to work some of this pigment out of my brush. And as I do, there we go, it'll get lighter. And then I can just kind of come in and blend it. All right, now turn it back. I want that a little darker. That is a lot of water in my brush. Just not going to give us what we want. Water control is definitely one of the hardest things Oh, I didn't want to go into his belly. It's one of the hardest things that you learn when you start doing watercolor. Another is like when to stop, right? Be going along. Like I've just pulled color off there when I should have just left it be. So I'm just grabbing more pigment, less water, so I can deposit it back in this area and hopefully recover. There we go. I'm like, wow. I think this is the longest we've ever streamed, guys. So yeah, definitely. If you're still here hanging out with me, and you know, quite a few of you are. Thanks. If you've been enjoying the stream, smash that like button. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, I'd love it if you'd consider doing so. If you're new here, we stream just about every Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, usually till about 5 p.m. Today we're going longer, but this is for tomorrow. This is for tomorrow's Inktober prompt. I have to finish it one way or the other. So if you're here hanging out watching, I'll just let the stream keep going. And if you're sitting here watching this on the replay, thanks for hanging out. And again, I can come back over any of my line work, and I probably will. I don't mind if it ends up with like that illustrative look to it. That doesn't bother me. I mean, that's kind of what I went for from the get-go. So I'm not worried about that. I'm trying to decide if I should do a light wash. If I should do a light wash on the bellies with like you guys can't see it, but like with my red. Look at that blue just kind of like encroaching its way in there. Kind of give it that pink look, like that pink underbelly look. And Lou says, welcome. Hi, Lou. Everybody say hi, Lou. Lou dropped in the chat. Probably wondering, when the heck are we going to eat dinner? Nice. That's excellent. How did you like your bookbinding class, Starving? I think that sounds fascinating, personally. All right, this guy and this guy, we need to get some others darker. Still not too worried if he's, I don't know, that he should be darker, but not as dark as these guys. Loved it. Starving especially loved it. Ugh. I have the stuff to do bookbinding. And of course I have my book press. That's what I use, that Lou made me. That's what I use to do my to make my own blocks. I've shared that with you guys before. I'm just wetting this because I'm going to want to blend, kind of give some shape to this one. Again, I'm missing that one little spot right there. When I caught those two, I missed that one. I'll come back and get it after. It sounds like it'd be so much fun to do that, the bookbinding. Be able to make your own sketchbooks and now, is that what you did, Starving? Did you make yourself, did you have to do certain specific projects, or were you able to like bind if you wanted to make a sketchbook or a journal? Get that paint out of there. There we go. I just keep looking up to my monitor to see like where are my values at. Do I want it to stay? Do I need it to make it a little darker? Oh, excellent. That would be neat. Actually make your own leather bound book. That'd be pretty cool. Or to now have the ability to repair books. Now you can really see that spot I was talking about. There's like that one little white spot right there. And that should have been touched with the sky color. I need to let that dry and come back, and I'll touch up some of these. Oh, excellent. They're actually going to do book repair classes. That's pretty cool. All right, just pushing this blue over since it wants to be there anyway. I need to mix up some more of that red and pulling that in. There we go. And I need a little bit more of the black, which is very much full of that purple now. And that is not as blue as it needs to be. Like, which one was the phthalo? This one. And see, just when you like, I was grabbing a little bit of the phthalo so I didn't have to open up the jar and grab more out. Yeah, I had got a little too much red in there. I went too much the wrong direction, but there we go. Now I think we're closer. Desaturate it. And again, I'm going to be working on the ones that are, these two that are even closer. So if they get darker, I'm not worried about it. There we go. I'll just get some of that off of there. There's a lot on there. I want to do this main guy. Now it looks almost black. I assure you it's not. Because of the hour, what I'll probably do is I will once I get this in here, I gotta finish this guy. I'd like to do this one and this one, but at least I'm gonna finish this guy. And it's probably where I will call it. Again, this is not something I'm going to finish up next week because it is tomorrow's prompt. So what I'll probably do is patrons. We have live chat tomorrow over on Discord. Anybody who is either a member here on YouTube or over on Patreon of the community level or above, we do live chat every Friday morning. You get access to my Discord server, you know, all the extra community perks. And what I'll probably do is tomorrow, which this doesn't happen often, but I think tomorrow I will go into Discord and we'll turn on the camera, and you guys, patrons, if you can see me finish this. I'll do it live during chat tomorrow. So you can become a member, come hang out and see this get finished up. Again, whether on a community member here on YouTube or through Patreon, either will give you access to Discord. You will get that perk. And you can see me finish this on up. Okay, I grabbed that paint, but I need to wet his body so I can make this flow better. Yeah, you say beach, and I always forget that as we are going into colder weather, you're being in Australia, coming out of the cold weather and going into the warm, sunny summer weather. There's a lot of water right there. I'm just going to soak it up and put it down here. Yeah, because there's still a lot I want to do on this painting. It has definitely been the Inktober prompt that has gotten the most of my time. Like, I have not spent this much time on any of the others. We're just working this wet and wet. It just helps that color blend. I can let the edges be a little darker to kind of give them that like rounded form. I did get some on the belly, but it's because I'm hurrying, and I don't want to hurry. I don't want to mess it up because I'm hurrying. Which is why I think I'll go ahead and finish it up during live chat tomorrow. So if you want to hang out and be a part of that, there is a little button right below your video that says join. You just click on that and it'll take you to where you can choose your membership. And Superfan is the basic. That doesn't have access to Discord, but community members and above do. So it's only the second tier and up, which is still very affordable. We have lots of fun. And sometimes, like tomorrow, I will jump into Discord, turn on the camera because I'm working on something in the studio, and you guys get to see it. It's not recorded. It won't be on YouTube. It's not able to be replayed. It's just exclusive just for patrons. So either way, if you follow me on Instagram, this will get posted at some point tomorrow once I get today's prompt done, like I said, I'm just going to sketch that while I'm sitting downstairs tonight. Once this dries, and I can move my book and take it with me. So that'll end up on Instagram later. But you will be able to see this guy on Instagram at some point tomorrow once he is finished. Look at that. It is coming along. Coming along. And if I need to, I could just take Joseph up on that suggestion and grab the ink tent sticks and see how I can enhance him with that. There's just so much more I want to do with this guy. So much more I want to do in details and everything. So I think I'm going to save that for tomorrow. I will do him during that live chat. I will stream it directly on Discord. So yeah, if you're a patron, I hope you'll join me there tomorrow to finish this up. Wow. If you enjoyed today, hit that like button and subscribe if you aren't already. Huge thank you to patrons and members here on YouTube. I appreciate you. I couldn't do this stuff without your support, and it is greatly appreciated. So everybody that's still sitting here hanging out with me, thanks so much. If you're watching on the replay, I'm going to pop another one up right about here that you might like to watch next. And until next time, everybody, keep creating, and I'll see you in a video real soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.